BA Blends back with another haircut tutorial. Now in this tutorial, we're doing a Mohawk. It's a special request that they be doing, talking about I want a Mohawk, I got you the Mohawk. The only thing I don't get, why you not subscribed to my YouTube channel? You know what I'm saying? I'll give you the secret sauce. But let's get straight to it. BA Blends back with another haircut tutorial. Now in this tutorial, we're gonna do a Mohawk. Now I'm starting with the 2-guard open, and I'm just basically shaping the haircut. I'm going straight up towards his head. I'm not doing like a pyramid shape, because I know most Mohawks are known for like a cone shape of the haircut style supposed to be. But this particular client, he told me that if he can keep it as much square as possible, that he don't really like that narrow shape or that like cone shape. So this Mohawk is gonna be it's gonna be a Mohawk, but it's gonna be still like a regular haircut on the top, meaning, you know, squared shape. Now I did forgot to record. I did put the number 7 guard open, and then I just put it on top of his head. But now what I'm doing right now is I'm using my Barber Pro FX, and I'm just making a harsh guideline at the moment. So right now, as you saw before, that I did do like a V on the back, but this one is I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. He didn't really like the V to be popping out as much, so he wanted me to fade the V back there, right there, right. He wanted me to fade it, so it's gonna be kind of like a drop fade, but with an exaggeration peak at the back, which still looks dope. It's pretty unique. Some barbers too. I mean, some clients get it. Not really. Most of them like the actual Mohawk. Now, as you can see, I'm going on both of his ears, because I'm trying to do it like a mid drop Mohawk fade. Now, my trimmers are not zero gap. I do have them adjusted. The only thing I have zero gap is my clippers. My clippers are the only thing I have zero gap. Now afterwards, we're gonna slap the shaver in there, and right now I'm really flicking out. To me, flicking out with the shaver, I feel like it's easier and saves me time. But if you do make a harsh line with the shaver, you're gonna have to take it out with the shaver. So if you make a harsh line with the shaver, all you have to do is just go ahead and go with the grain with the shaver, meaning go down. Once you go down, then you should right blend in with the fade. Now you don't want to go all the way up. Once you go all the way up, you got to think of the transition. When you go all the way up, there's going to be no transition. You just basically ball them out. So usually I don't really do this step, but I don't know, for some reason when I was cutting his hair, I left like a stubble of a line. So as you can see there, I went down with the grain, and I put my trimmers in there and slapped them in there. So if you also make it too much of a harsh line, go ahead and use your trimmers and just take out the line as much as possible. Now for the first guideline, we're gonna use with the wall seniors with the lever halfway open, and we're gonna go about 1 inch. Now don't be afraid to dig in, make a whole guideline, make 1 inch, or if you want to do a compressed fade, by all means, but it's gonna be harder for you once you're learning to fade. Now if you're just starting to cut hair, I remember I was afraid to go up, so what I really did was I used my 2 fingers, and those 2 fingers, next to wherever I was cutting hair, I actually went up all the way until I did 2 fingers, and then I follow that guideline all the way through. That way I can actually see and know, okay, I went up this high, so don't go past this one. Because I remember when I was first starting cutting hair, I would go up a little bit, and I'd be like, oh, I did too much. Oh, no, you know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid. Just go ahead and dig in. And now moving forward, I slapped the number 1 guard open, and with the lever open, and I'm going about another inch. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, at the back, I didn't really stretch it out as I usually do. So you're going to see me kind of going back and forth to stretch out the guideline. Now in here, after the 1 guard open, I did close it all the way. And remember, once I'm doing guidelines, you use the whole blade. When you're fading, you use the corners. So someone might be like, okay, what's the corners? You don't have to be exaggerated with the corners, meaning only use literally one teeth. No, you go ahead and use between 3 to 4 of the teeth of the blade. Because I know the more you tilt the clipper, the less you're cutting. Which that's on the safe side, which is good, but you should only do that when you're like doing detail work. When you do like extra detail work, you want to get that little centimeter spot, then you tilt the clipper so you can go ahead and cut his hair and don't cut as much hair as possible. Now we're gonna use the number 2 guard. I did try to avoid using clipper rubber comb, but I couldn't really do it. His hair kind of pokes out, so I had to use clipper rubber comb afterwards. But I used the number 2 guard right there. As you can see, I'm kind of going mostly straight up towards his head of his head shape, and I'm just going straight up. Now, right here, you probably can't see it, but when I'm going straight up and I'm using mostly going up towards the parietal ridge, I'm mostly using the heel of the blade, meaning the butt, where the hair tends when the guard tends to like the chunky part below the teeth. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about I'm using the butt of the guard. I use that heel and then I go straight up. That way I'll avoid using like a narrow shape or a cone shape, haircut, to avoid that. Now I went to go ahead and slapped in the 1.5 guard. When there was this 1.5 guard, I'm attacking the line between the 1 and the 2. Now I usually do close and then open, but it's the same thing. If you want to do open and close in case you're afraid, then it's the same thing. But just don't be afraid of going up, because at the end of the day, you're fading. When you're fading, you kind of have to go up. How much you have to go up, that depends on the type of fade. Now you see, I didn't really feel that I had to stretch out the skin. I really felt like in the back, I really did had to. And as you can see right here, I felt like I wasn't even stretching my guidelines as much. So you see me coming back and forth, try to stretch out the guideline a little bit more. But now we're gonna use the 1 guard open, and we're gonna slap that between the 1 and the 2. Now the 1.5 guard, that means to smooth it out. The actual 1 should be the one to blend the guideline out. Now, if you want and then you're in a bit of a rush, you can skip the 1.5 guard and just use the heel of the 1 guard, and it should blend in right in. Now that does come with experience. As a beginner barber, I wasn't really patient, so I would really skip everything and then I would mess up everything. So if I were you, I would take my time, first learn the basics and then go on trying to be how to fade faster and all that. Now we're gonna use the half guard. And that half guard, I use 3 steps. I use the close, halfway, and then open. Close, halfway, and then open. Now, I did have one beginner barber told me, isn't the 1.5 guard close the same as the lever open? And the short answer is yes. It's somewhat almost close to, but not really. But as you can see on my fading system, the one that I try to show and teach, that's why I begin with the lever halfway open. Now, what a lot of people don't like about my fading system is with the lever halfway open, if you go too high, then yeah, you might be giving too much of a guideline of a fade, and then at the end it will look like a longer fade. But what I do like about it is just like it's fast, it's pretty quick. The lever halfway open, all you have to do is just afterwards just with the lever closed, and the line should blend in right away. And when I was starting, it was the first line was always the hardest, but everybody told me the first line is always the easiest. So when I did that fading step, it was pretty much boom, quick and easy, move to the next step. Now we're gonna use the lever close, and we're gonna go ahead and attack that last line. Now remember, this last line is supposed to be the easiest. Now if you're struggling to take out this line, probably means your shavers, you probably went you probably went too high, or your trimmers are zero gapped. Once I'm doing the harsh line, I'm doing it harsh, but that doesn't mean that I'm pressing hard. Alright, so when I'm using the trimmers, I'm not pressing hard, I'm just tapping it. But I like to call it a harsh line, because at the end of the day, if you're going up with the trimmers towards making a guideline, it's much faster and easier when you're fading. But what I've noticed when you do a harsh line, yes, it might be a little bit more of a time consuming, because you might have to give it a little bit of more passes, but it really kind of leaves the blend a little bit more sharp. So now all this fading system is meant to teach you how to do the basics of the fade. Now what do I mean by that? Every haircut is different. I didn't believe it until I started cutting hair. Every haircut is different. Some people use their number one guard open, and it look like you already gave them a whole bald fade. And some people it's not. So this fade is meant to teach you the foundation of how to fade. But at the end of the day, whatever you learn from whatever barber, every fade you're gonna have to attack it differently. Sometimes I do this fading technique and I don't have to do as much detail work, like maybe 2 minutes. And sometimes I do the whole technique and I gotta do detail work for like 15-20 minutes. It really depends on the haircut, especially if the client or the customer has very coarse and thick hair. You're gonna have to go through more than one pass to actually give them a nice smooth blend. So for example, if you're cutting a guy that has very thin hair, when you bald them out, all you have to do is go one time. But if you're doing a customer that has thick hair, like I'm talking about dark, and they have a lot of hairs, then that one pass won't do much. So it just really depends on the customer. And then it's up to you with your experience and knowledge. Whatever you learn, put it together, and then it's your job to know how to give the best haircut they can possibly give. So now I'm doing most detail work. I felt like I saw some spots, so I went to go grab my other clipper, and I was just trying to smooth the blend as much as I can. Now, as you saw, I did do a clipper over comb. Now, on this clipper over comb, if you're scared to do clipper over comb, usually the number 3 guard is kind of the same kind of the same as a clipper over comb. Now, if you want to do with the number 3 guard, I'll probably do it in another video. If you want to do the number 3 guard, that's cool. But I would use the heel of the blade once you're going up towards the parietal ridge. Just because it's a number 3 guard and it's a bigger guard doesn't mean that you can't give them a narrow haircut. So especially on most haircuts, is what's most common, it's the squared shape. No one really wants their head looking like a pyramid, like a cone. And the square shape tends to be the hardest one. Because the square shape, you basically want to, sometimes it does come with a compressed fade. And then you just trying to make it a squared but without leaving like a harsh, like rough, like a rough line that tends to look like a chili bowl. When I was first started cutting hair, I was just using the 4 guard and going all the way up. I'm Rudy A Blends. This is my fade. I think it came out pretty clean. He came out pretty happy. As you can see on the back, boom. It looks like a mohawk, but then it's not. It's pretty faded. And he came out pretty happy about it. I'm Rudy A Blends. If you learned something, go ahead and give me a like, man. If you don't even like the haircut that I did, give me a dislike. You know what I'm saying? Fire me up in the comments. Y'all stay blessed.